What made you lose respect for someone? The lack of respect for myself. Guy I know started to sound like a COVID denier / no new normal person, saying shit like it's okay to let COVID spread when we were 1 month in quarantine and most of the after effects were to be discovered, and every day we were learning more about it. I was like, so you're telling me you don't know the consequences, but let's let it spread? Anyway, I have not talked to him in more than a year now. I see him as part of the problem. And I'm not sure I want to see him again. Him being anti-vax. When they start talking about politics without even doing a temperature check to see what people in the room think. Not respecting me. I was going through a lot of problems and my best friend decided to choose in a presentation for a Spanish class. I thought it was cool. Unfortunately I couldn't make time to work on it. But since I'm fluent in Spanish and I watched the movie years ago and knew it by heart, I was confident I was going to go well. Until my best friend didn't want to present with me because she thought I wasn't prepared and didn't do a slide of the presentation. She also mentioned that she took Mexican studies and she knew more. In few words, she thought I was dumb and didn't know about it. She didn't say a single sentence that I didn't know. She also said that she was in a lot of pain BC of wisdom teeth and could barely talk. When it was time for our presentation, she miraculously recovered from all the pain that she said she had 10 minutes ago. Her presentation wasn't the best and I in the audience helped her get through BC. She had no idea or misinterpreted the movie. I emailed my professor and told I didn't work in the presentation and I was gonna take the points. We no longer talk after that point. He snitched on someone I thought he was friends with. Super nice to the guy's face, but when I was working on a crew with him I watched as he bad talked them to the boss and snitched that they kept their phones on in their pocket while working. I went to my head boss the next day and told I lost respect for that guy and needed to be on another crew. Not respecting personal space. Recently me and a new coworker were hitting it off really well as friends. We were sitting together during lunch a few days ago and a trans individual came up and asked me how to get to a certain room in the building. After showing them where the room was, me and the coworker were walking away, and he started to make fun of them for being trans. I just can't support or associate with that kind of behavior and have stonewalled him ever since. How my boss handled COVID. He disappeared for 9 months, then showed up and bitched that the slightest thing was wrong when the staff had been there the whole time. My high school best friend who effed my underage ex-girlfriend. My smoking/drinking buddy when he went and snorted coke with our neighbor and shooed me away so he could get more bugger sugar. My favorite cousin, who grew up alongside me like a brother, broke his wrist when he tried to sucker punch me when we were drinking at the grandparents'. His parents always spoiled him and bought him everything he ever wanted, while my single parent always struggled to present me with an adequate life. It's like he resented that I was happy with what little I had. My dad's sister when she smoked a light bulb of meth in front of me and my mom when we were supposedly on a house tour of her quarters. My high school drug dealer when I realized he only wanted cash. Man, this game sucks. I've cut more people out of my life than I likely want to admit. I know someone who joined the Trump cult. I have no respect for them anymore. Had 2 friends that were best friends A and B, found out B fucked A's girlfriend while A was in rehab, fakest shit I've ever seen. Mi ex se cogió a su jefe en el trabajo. A TikTok lady I followed was funny, had good messages on body positivity. But then she posted a video. People have been asking what my pronouns are. I am a sexy bitch. Me, you don't know what pronouns are. Unfollowed immediately. Deleted. I lived with a woman after I gave birth to my kid. At that time I can't say I had no one, but she's the only person that allowed the father of my kid and I, to live together, which is what I wanted, for both of his parents to live with their child. We both had jobs and worked 10+ a day every day with 1 day off. She wasn't going to be working for a while, so she offered to take care of the baby while we worked, which we were extremely grateful for. Rent went from $500, we didn't have a room, just to open space like the living room, to $800 a month. We only used one outlet and the bathroom, and ate out most of the time unless she offered us food. She started getting very possessive of my kid, buying him things as much as she could, keeping receipts that later on she would use as "you have to pay me back," knowing every time she bought him something she'd never hesitated to tell us we don't need to pay her while we insisted. But we really needed to save up, and while rent went up for whatever reasons, she never gave us proof as to why we ended up paying more and more every month. Mind you, her daughter and her boyfriend both worked and paid rent, they lived there too, and the woman's husband was also working and paying rent. So where did all this money we owed come from? Nowhere. Her husband ended up trying to make me touch his dong one night, which turned into a fight because my partner was about to kill him, but there goes that woman, defending her husband. It ended bad. She was bullshitting all this time. I lost mad respect for her because it damaged a lot in my personal life, and my relationship with my family. Later on I heard a story she tried taking custody of another child in the past. Not sure if the child wasn't related to her or was. But she's been trying to get pregnant, and I guess that's where the obsession came from. I'm glad now she's just a memory, though I appreciate and am grateful for the relationship we had at first. There is no way in hell I'll be able to associate myself with her or her family again. This pandemic. So many people I thought I knew have turned out to be selfish morons. I knew they were selfish morons, but I thought they were better at pretending otherwise. After confiding personal things to a good friend over a period of 10 years, having him throw it all back in my face and attempting to make me feel as bad as possible over a stupid argument. Well, we can still be friends 'cause of our history, but I ain't telling you a damn thing of importance ever again. A former great friend got his panties in a bunch when I didn't hit him up after I came back from my trip overseas. He got really mad about that. Note, we weren't dating or anything, both straight guys, knew each other since undergrad about 10 years ago. And he called me to yell at me and degrade me and said, "When you stop being so infantile, call me back." At that point I wasn't gonna argue anymore because this is just too insane. It's been about 2 years and I guess I'm still an infant, man shrugging. Good riddance. When someone sends me unsolicited sexual images of themselves taking stuff without asking. My boss yelled at me for showing up 5 minutes late. She was 2 hours late on that same day. Another guy, I loaned him about $6,000 over the span of about 2 or 3 years. This was about 4 years ago. He hasn't paid me back yet and no longer answers my calls or texts, but his parents paid me back in full. No more being that nice to people. You think you know a guy. He's a genuine pos though. Saw them smoking. Hair trigger anger and violence. Omreka. I don't think I need to explain myself. Actually today. It is my 20th birthday. I had no respect already for him but sunk even lower. Show up at the door. Hand me my card. Stay mostly quiet only to notice my new piercing and told me if I live with him, I would be getting them. I be in for a baiting and tells I'm wasting any bit of my life in college after I say I just finished my first year. People who interject their politics into conversations. Talking bad about someone behind their back and then pretending to be their friend. I just started working in a new place and all the people here do it. Then they complain that everyone talks behind each other's back even though they do it also. It's comical how shallow some of them are. I just keep to myself and get my job done basically. I called my friend a dumbass in Disney World because he was acting like a dumbass. He then left me in Florida after taking my plane ticket. Lies, consistent lies. Millie's a very rich narcissist who controls everyone around her with such skill. I have to admit I am often impressed by her talent. We are of South Asian cultural background living in the UK and needless to say the wedding was horrible. But 3 years on I'm like okay, she's clearly evil but she's my husband's mother so I have to hold even a tiny amount of respect for her. My Phil's brother died due to COVID-related complications in India. His daughter was due to give birth to a baby that had been a miracle. She had had a lot of trouble conceiving. Everyone was worried about the stress of her father's passing, perhaps causing a late-term miscarriage. This girl is essentially my Mills rival. Long story, but it's like two of the same terrible people met one another and things erupted around 8 years ago. Now they are civil. I was at my in-laws following the passing in the family, making tea in the kitchen, and Mill walks in and says, "Can you believe it about this girl, Fry's girl? She might have a miscarriage." And I am blinking away tears because I can't even comprehend the emotional agony this girl is in. I turn to find Mill is smiling ear to ear. In that moment I threw all respect for her away. Disgusting, disgraceful, horrible human being. I don't care who you are, I will no longer tolerate you. Zero contact, you absolute psycho. FYI, the girl gave birth 48 hours after her father's passing to a beauty healthy baby.